What's happening, y'all? How y'all doing? I was gonna have Podbean going too, and I was actually trying to do TikTok as well. For anybody that plays with this stuff and tries multi-cameras and even outside, because you can't do it all through StreamYard, I think you can feel the pain. I was trying to set some things up, but you have to have a different device with a mic. It becomes a whole nightmare. It's too bad that these very expensive streaming platforms like StreamYard hello, can't just stream to all of them. I mean, and I'm going to say this real quickly. Even Restream streams to TikTok, but this one doesn't. So anyway, I was going to have the audio podcast going too, but the audio podcast will drop tomorrow. So audio podcast listeners, because this is audio podcast number 500 or 497, 4 out from 500. And so, audio podcast listeners, I did try and run it live on Podbean tonight. I am sorry it fell apart at the last minute there too. But yeah, we got you know what? I got 3 different things I want to go through. Not sure how long it'll take. But let me say what up to the people who are in here. Happy Labor Day weekend too, by the way, everybody. So we got Mr. Tim Gigwise. How you doing, bud? Traveler, how are you? Bubba Sue, how's it going? And Mr. John Lopez in the Chicago Metro. What's up, bro? Okay, yeah. So yeah. I mean, podcasting on Labor Day makes sense, right? Oh, hey, even Oscar, another Chicagoite. Those two are, and hey, Kevin Hawthorne too. Hey, John and Ivanoski, you both are in Chicago. But okay, so I want to start off with John might like this too. I'm glad you're in here tonight, John. I mean, I'm glad you're in here anyway, but this is good for you to hear because this is a statement about PayUp legislation in Seattle, but it's a statement to the city from Grubhub. And if you're saying, well, Grubhub's got that like little minimal share of any market, we don't really know I don't know what their share of Seattle is of the delivery market. We know it's little share in pretty much every market, but nonetheless, this is how it applies to all of the companies the same. They're just writing from their perspective, and you'll understand that when you hear it. So try and think of it as Uber Eats or DoorDash writing this as well, because this is tough. So and everybody that is familiar, again, big difference between a transparency bill like we have here without any kind of money attached, and then the monetary problem ones. Prop 22, huge issue right now. We'll get into a little bit of the unionization. All of that slipped because of, again, the money. When you put money, you really screw it up. Especially like the California one saying that 120% of minimum wage. Well, the reason the Supreme Court's okay with that staying the way that is because it doesn't say 120% of $16 to $19 and whatever it is in San Francisco per hour. It says 120% of minimum wage. So that will float with time. So I think, that's another whole long story, but let's do this first. I want to talk about this Seattle PayUp because we're not going into the $15 million thing because I did just talk about that in the last podcast. But again, let's just real quickly remind, this isn't even that story. This is a different story about how badly the performance is for the delivery platforms, as well as how it's not sustainable. Even in the most expensive market now, all of them have said it publicly. Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub have all said that Seattle, hands down, is the most expensive market to operate in. So let's get into this. So this is what they're saying. At the start of 2024, despite warnings from gig worker groups like Drive Forward, excuse me, get this right. Seattle's PayUp ordinance was passed. The law promised $26.40 an hour before tips for drivers, which is obviously almost $6.50 more than their minimum wage. Their minimum wage is really high in the city of Seattle. It is $19.97. That is their minimum wage for not gig work. But so this was a number, unlike the 120%, this was just a number they came up with, $26.40 an hour. And I remember there was a huge surge of people because they thought this one was different than Prop 22, or they still thought Prop 22 meant you got that much money just for turning on the app. Again, guys, we're all talking about the fake unit of time. And even these type of things leave it out for active time. Active time. Active time is controlled by the platform that you are hating against and you don't want to ever work for. So that you're trying to force their hand to do something in a business sense. And then you want to give them even more. Like you're pissed you're not getting enough orders. Why would you want to give them the keys to the car then that is going to supply any and every order you get? You're giving them more control. So anyway, the law, the PayUp model was $26.40 an hour is what they have to be paid in a Prop 22 style. These get screwed up. So now fast forward to 2025. It's clear the law has created a whole set of unintended consequences. Grubhub's data shows that the law has hurt drivers' earnings, increased wait times, and posed serious challenges for restaurants and customers alike. If you guys are wondering, like, well, why are we listening to what Grubhub says? This is the kind of stuff I've already talked about 50 times with you guys from different articles and different points of view, and they all sync up. But this is the company just speaking openly. They're not, I mean, it's not about just the numbers. They're just being open. And I mean, this is what seems to be the common vibe about it all. Again, it's one of those things where like 1% of the people in Seattle wanted PayUp. The rest of the people just didn't even know about it. And this becomes my concern with a lot of things. If you don't know about it, it's just as bad as being on board with it, because when they talk to their lawmakers and such like that, and Joel Shapiro from Dumpling, he sits on the Seattle City Council. So, I mean, we know people. He's been on this podcast. We know people on that council, and Joel's a great guy. Great guy. But they knew this was some issues. But so, okay, where are we at? So fewer orders, struggling restaurants, and frustrated customers. The ripple effects of PayUp are being felt throughout the delivery ecosystem in Seattle. Orders continue to decrease, which means drivers are seeing few opportunities to earn. And again, we're talking about one standpoint here, but this is everybody. I mean, this is everybody. This is all the platforms. They all have the same sentiment for sure. For small independent restaurants, the heart of Seattle's food scene, these challenges can be particularly tough with rising costs and shrinking demand. Many are navigating tighter margins and working hard to adapt. Customers aren't escaping unscathed either. Longer wait times and a higher cost for delivery platforms to operate in Seattle are making the service less convenient and less affordable. Waiting game. While some drivers are earning more per delivery, the cost increases associated with implementing PayUp have put many customers off from ordering. Fewer orders, coupled with unregulated numbers of drivers on the road, means that drivers are waiting much longer between deliveries. And that wait time continues to increase in PayUp's second year. At the same time, diners are waiting longer for their food, and restaurant partners are processing fewer orders, indicating that all sides are feeling the strain under the new pay standard. This is a good little statistic here for you guys. Ready for this one? On average, Grubhub drivers in Seattle are waiting about 110 minutes longer for the next delivery opportunity. That's an easy stat to run. Just who's on the platform, how often are they getting orders in between? I mean, 110 minutes longer. So that year to year, that's a 578% increase in wait time. So while they may be earning more for the delivery opportunities they do receive, these opportunities are causing coming less and less. Excuse me, guys. Can't really see that. Therefore, eating away at potential earnings. When we factor in total earnings per online hour, so that's real time. This is when it gets all confusing, man. Can we just talk about real time? That's the time spent on the app or with the app on, or however you want to define it. So drivers' earnings on average are 36 less percent than they were before PayUp. So far, not one damn thing PayUp has done that it said it would, and it's hurting the restaurant partners, the customers, and the drivers, and the company, and the city of Seattle. I mean, they say they're up to like $10 million in lost revenue on the online platforms in 8 months into the year. I mean, people come into town, they go to events. That says a lot. I know that people like to go out too, but it says a lot about a town like it's especially a town like Seattle. You can't do this kind of breakdown in every city and take it as the same stats. This is a city where these platforms are majorly used, and I mean, there's just people aren't using them. That's the bottom line. So what was supposed to stabilize earnings has instead created more unpredictability. Drivers are left waiting for jobs to come through, and the waiting time is taking a big bite out of their earnings. A hidden hit to the driver earnings. If you think it couldn't get worse, think again. Tips, a major part of the driver earnings, have dropped over 30% per delivery. So the average tip in pre-PayUp was $6.20, and the average tip post-PayUp legislation is $4 per delivery. So you're losing, again, it's just, customers are already feeling the squeeze from the policy environment in Seattle that has made delivery more expensive. Unfortunately, that means customers are tipping less or not tipping at all, putting even more financial pressure on drivers who depend on those tips to make ends meet. Drivers receive 100% of their tips for completed deliveries. So the decrease in tips directly impacts their take-home pay, really. If you guys didn't know that, if you don't get your tips, it affects your pay. So while Seattle's PayUp hasn't gone as planned, Seattle's PayUp law hasn't gone as planned, not while, it's important. Law hasn't gone as planned. Now's the time for the city of Seattle to hit pause and rethink their approach. We need a solution that balances fair compensation for drivers with a sustainable, efficient system that works for everybody, drivers, restaurants, and customers alike. At Grubhub, we're committed to collaborating with policymakers and other stakeholders to find a solution that benefits all parties. It's time for a more thoughtful, holistic approach that keeps the delivery ecosystem thriving. That and the end couple of sentences could have gone, but that's just how they end them. So let's see. I don't know, you guys. So PayUp's failed. There are people out there who are still. So I mean, like if you talk, I know that when PayUp started, I was talking to people who are up in Seattle and we're like, no, it looks like. I was like, this is like it's like a honeymoon period for a new app on steroids or something. It's like the whole Seattle area felt like we're going to make a ton of money, or the ones who were buying into this crap. But again, this was just a couple of, I mean, the only things that were different from Prop 22 was, I mean, I guess they separated the TNC and the DNC, which is big. But they, I mean, what are you going to do? There's not one stat in here, and they're not just listing the ones that aren't worthy. There's not one stat in here, nothing about any of the people, drivers, customers, restaurant partners, business, and the city of Seattle. All are losing because of this. Let's see. Well, thank you, Low Rider. Appreciate that. Walmart Spark just paid up thousands to drivers in Cali who missed. Okay, yeah. So Walmart Spark is under, okay. A lot of, yeah, I guess Spark would be. That's funny because Spark wasn't in the Flex Association. Uh, they weren't paying their portion of that $208 million that the Flex Association sued California for. So I hadn't even really thought about that. Like Instacart did. I know that they were in there and stuff, but that was um, let me see. Uh, Happy Labor Day. Happy Labor Day. Are you driving? Oh, I'm guessing John is north of Chicago, driving back into the city. I don't know why. I just know that the last time I had him on the show, something had happened to his car, and he was like, "I was coming south back into the city." So I'm guessing it's the same type of thing. Hey, what's up, Francis? What's up, Francis? How are you? What's up, Lisa? What's up, Torp? What's up, Bubba Sue? And what's up, Traveler? I think I said hi to everybody else. What's up, Adam? I already said hi to you, Tim. But yeah, guys, so that's Seattle. Complete failing. We've talked about it many times. I mean, but that's complete failing. It just is, you know. And also, by the way, people on X, Twitter, you can comment and I'll see it in the StreamYard thread, because I see that there's a handful watching them there too. Okay, so that's the failure of that. That coupled with the $15 million that, by the way, had to be paid by today. So we'll know tomorrow. They had to pay 16,000 Uber Eats drivers who drove between something 2023. It was like 22 months. Some month 2023 until like March of 2025. There were 16,000 Uber Eats drivers, and they were the judgment on the lawsuit happened last Monday. They were given till today to pay it. The court gave them till a week. That's it, to pay $15 million to 16,000 drivers. And that was for breaking the transparency issue. So if you guys didn't catch the last podcast, yes, those of you who have said, well, what if they do get caught, like these little fine amounts and stuff, doesn't sound so little now. And I know there are the people out there who go, 15 million, that's not a lot of money. You see those kind of lawsuits for a city like John lives in, like the whole state of Illinois will get that for some DoorDash tip stealing. This is for not doing transparency correctly during Boost. And so they had to remove Boost, and they still took their lickings though, and they still got hammered on it. So don't think it can't happen, man. You know what I'm saying? This is why I keep saying transparency. All these other states with all this other stupid crap always end up with way more court battles than, like, look, we're kind of done. Maybe everybody's still unsettled and it's like, but it's done. You can't, the mechanisms are in place. Maybe the language needs a little cleaning, but this was definitely the right direction, was to leave money out of it, because every one of the states that has money in it has too many hands into the game. I don't know. And I'm definitely a believer that the unions stay a bit out when they see you proposing legislative type, like, we just want to be independent contractors like you say we are. That's what the unions do not want. They don't want to hear that shit. Because if they hear that, then they know, well, how do we go pitch something if all the drivers are saying they want is all these things they're supposed to have and they're free? So speaking of awesome unionization, I know John's driving, but if he has some 2 cents to throw in, he will. John is a wizard with all of this stuff, bill numbers and stuff like that. But we're going to talk about what happened in the Cali unionization. You guys remember the Red Hot Chili Pepper song, Californication? Well, I'm calling it Cali unionization. So Assembly Bill 1340, right? It passed. I had I had Karen Anderson on a few weeks back. It had already passed the House, and it was going the following week after we did the live stream to a Senate committee that both Karen and I kind of our take was, yes, of course, it's going to pass that Senate committee. And then it was getting kicked up to Newsom. And Newsom, that's where Karen and I differed a little bit. And I understood her take, and she's extremely smart. And she knows California law and all this. But she was like, she was not defending him either. But she was saying that Newsom was in bed with too many people from Uber and from these other companies was the gist of it. She didn't think he would go against his friends. And I was like, this has been going on so long with these annoying trolls, though. And again, I won't mention them, but by the way, Kim Cavan made a tweet this weekend. John probably saw it. And if you guys aren't on Twitter, you can go find @the Kim Cavan and look through and see if you see one about all this. And I weighed in and stuff. And there's some screenshots of something that a certain shill said. And, oh my God. If not, we'll find it for another day because it's comical. It's comical. But let's just say this, that while this deal was being made, there was a baby throwing a tantrum outside the door, literally banging on the doors, and the security weren't letting her in, who would have not been happy that this deal was made. So to just summarize it, I guess, and make it easy, is that Newsom had to come out clean on both ends of this. And he always makes speeches that when I hear him anyway, I just want to throw up. Because it's like, oh, I did this and I did. And it's like he got like a win-win situation. And not just in this and other things. But every time he does it, to me, it's like so clear how scummy he is that I'm like, no, that's absolutely a lose-lose. I don't know what you did, but it's a lose-lose. I mean, like, I don't like, again, it's not right, left, center. It's not party affiliated. I just have said that I think, and I stand by this, I think Newsom is in my top 5, like, evilest politicians out there. Fact, just saying. And it's not about the gig economy. It's about every single thing I've seen him do since he's been in office. I mean, he's not good. So while this 1340 bill was happening, I think a lot of people are confused that there was another bill happening that Uber and Lyft thought, no chance this is going to pass. No chance. Everybody in California said no chance that's going to pass, which is, while this AB 1340 about the allowing unionization was happening, this other Senate bill had been going since early part of the year. That's SB 371 in California. That was a bill to reduce and hold the capping amount for Uber rideshare insurance, which, if you guys aren't aware, it's going up everywhere in every state. And it's something that Uber says they're passing on to the customer. It's one of the reasons the rides and everything are getting to be more. I mean, I'm sure that it plays a factor in it, but I'm not sure how much each state's going up. I'm pretty sure it's so hard to believe in a company like Uber and stuff that you can't really take their word for anything. But just on a perspective of understanding the insurance market, I probably understand where it's coming from, saying that they need to pay more in every market. And I could see why California, especially uninsured motorists, would be a lot worse than in a lot of other states. And I don't think I need to say any more than that. But so let me see, where was the quote I wanted to tell you guys? So all that was left to do to pass this into law was Newsom to sign 1340 and say, okay, you can unionize. The problem goes back a couple steps. If you remember Karen and I talking about this, the SEIU went to the California Supreme Court, and they were the SEIU was asking for Proposition 22 to be declared unconstitutional after the people voted, after the 10 months that the companies had to put it on the ballot, and they let the entire state vote. And even a completely left-leaning state like California, 60% to 40% voted for Prop 22, which meant in favor of the gig app companies giving the allowance of independent contractor status. So the SEIU challenged that at the California Supreme Court level to shut that down and end it. And this is kind of this, Karen and I talked about this at more length, so you can go listen to that episode of the conversation from about a month ago with Karen Anderson. if you want to hear more details about this. But in essence, is what it did is the SEIU going to the California Supreme Court and saying, this is unconstitutional. What the hell? The bottom line was that they solidified Prop 22 at this point. So the big question, like, it's locked in. It's like, no, it's not unconstitutional. They lost that battle, but they called it a win because it was some kind of foothold to this other crap about being able to unionize. The reason you wanted it declared unconstitutional was because you wanted unions. So how did that give you a foothold? And I never understand this state. So the California Supreme Court rules it down, and then they just, and it always, whenever you hear about it, it's always the District Court 9. If you guys ever hear about Judge Raich or District Court 9, just know that I am look, I can't say 100%, but I am pretty damn sure that, well, okay, I'll put it this way. If the 9th District Court of California with Judge Raich isn't on the take for millions and millions of dollars, they're stupid, because in the public's eye, it absolutely looks like you're on the take, because anytime anything else fails in California, they just take it there and get it passed. Again, I just don't understand the state. To me, all these states are different, but it just seems like when everybody else around the state's like, no, and you just go to this one court that always is like, okay, like, and now they're crossing lines. As we know, independent contractors cannot be unionized. Definitely can't be force unionized. And the way it's going to play out there is if 10% of the active drivers, and then that I don't even know where they're going to go with that number, because that's like 1.4 to 6 million right now. And so are they going to use 10% of that, or is Uber and Lyft going to deactivate half the first day? Are they going to, or are they going to onboard like masses? Is there going to, and because there's public record, because also remember that if you're thinking, dude, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. So like 10% of the people in California vote, we want a union, and the other 90% have to just take it. Yes, that is exactly how it's worded. In fact, as I was told, there's over 1,300 unions in California. So if you're thinking like, well, they got to get those first, the way they do this is because of there's so many unions. What I've been told is they will fight over this, because this is almost like it's put out there as like almost, like a goal. Get 10% of the drivers and you got the union rights for all the 100%. So, but again, it's still a big number, because if you're using 1.4 million or 1.6 million, you're going to have to get 140 to 160 thousand signatures that want to be in unions. And again, and this sucks for the other 90%, but if they do get the 10%, at least everybody will know who that 10% is, because they have to be made public record. The problem is I don't know if it'll show I wish if John can weigh in. I know he's driving. John Lopez might know the answer to this, but because like once they have the 10% and they say, okay, we got our 10%, now all of you have to be. So John, if you are still in here, I guess my question to you is there, I'm sure there's records, but is there a committee that looks into that's nonpartisan, that says, wait a minute, show me the drivers that made this happen, before they just lump it all in? Because the problem is once they hit the 10%, the entire 100% become public record. Every gig worker in the state of California becomes public record for unions, for everything. Your email, your phone, everything gets distributed to all the unions and all the bullshit. You think junk mail's a joke? And I'm not speaking from firsthand, but I'm close enough with people firsthand. Like Mike Harubi's dad died 13 years ago. He still gets union mail and junk crap sent to him. So, I mean, it's like you got to change your name legally. You got to get a new phone. You got to get a new email, or else you will be like, and again, your public record. But I would like to know if the public record shows, hey, this is the 10% that actually got you there, because I honestly don't think there is 10%. I don't think they could get to 10%. I'm just being honest. 10% is that's a lot of drivers, like, to say that they want to give over a portion of their money to a union. And especially at this point, the unions are going to have to be very real. Was it Bobby Robertson? When I dropped 13 this week, Bobby Robertson, shout out to him. If you guys don't know him, you can go see his comment. He doesn't have a YouTube channel or anything, but he chimes in on some of the channels and whatnot. He had a great comment, because my challenge on 13 was, what can these unions do for these people? They have Prop 22 solidified by the Supreme Court. They can't challenge that. So what? You can't fight over pay, because Prop 22 is solidified by the upper court from the lower court that's approving this crap. So you can't fight for pay. You can't fight for working conditions, because that's your car. That's on you. I mean, what, somebody's gonna come out and go, yeah, it's pretty dirty, you should clean it. I mean, and you can't fight for working conditions, because you're in your car. None of the stuff that a union can do, they can do. Bobby was the only one who came into the comments and said, he goes, I guess, I mean, the only thing they could maybe help with is deactivations. Bingo. That's it. But like, look at us here in Colorado. We just have that through our transparency law. Like, they had to go through all that. Now they're going to have to pay a union rep just for maybe unjust deactivations. But you're going to pay it on every gig app you work? Huh? I don't know, California. I mean, at least you keep my content fresh, and I appreciate that. I do think that so much of what happens out there feels like a joke to me. I don't even really know how to touch it sometimes. But I mean, we know for a fact you've tricked the drivers there enough times. Drivers were stoked on Prop 22. Now they hate it. There's security companies now involved, like Argyle IO and some of the other Incognia and things like that do the multi-layer stuff. So you can't be doing the dirty stacking anymore. And if you do, you will be deactivated. But they also have the right to actually look into your history on the multi-layer security systems. And if it goes above a certain amount, they can actually take you to court over it. So I don't know how clean they've been about that, like, hey, don't be dirty stacking. But I don't know if you guys in California, you might want to be reading your TOSs. I know none of us do, but I would, especially with all this going on, because you guys just got unionized, in fact, too. But let me talk about, I did exactly what the Uber and Lyft did at the beginning of the year. I mentioned something, and then nobody ever really spoke about it, which is Senate Bill 371. That's the other one that Newsom signed on. So here's and maybe you'll be able to tell by the Lyft. This at the end is a Lyft quote. It's very short, but there's a Lyft quote, and it's almost feels uplifting. So it's like, when they make quotes like this, they won. I mean, and this was going to be a complete loss, but here we go. So Uber and Lyft fares in California are consistently higher than in other parts of the U.S. because of insurance requirements, according to the companies. Uber has said that nearly 1/3 of every ride fare in the state goes towards paying for state-mandated insurance. The insurance bill reduced the coverage requirement for accidents caused by uninsured or underinsured drivers. What they had done was made it $1 million, right, in California, $1 million plus $100,000 per individual. What Newsom signed, because that also was floating, that could have gone up for years and years and years. What Newsom signed, and that's on every driver, obviously, but he signed it. He said, instead, if we can unionize, okay, if you can unite, so if you can take money from the drivers to have a place maybe that can help them during a deactivation, but it's not even worded correctly, okay, what about it? Because, I mean, nothing else can be challenged by the union. Nothing. Supreme Court will tell them, dude, we've already triple ruled on this. Shut up. Get out of our face. But So now instead of $1 million plus 100,000 per person, this is what Newsom signed off on for. 300,000 plus 60,000 per individual. Now, clearly he doesn't care about people because in San Francisco and Los Angeles, he lets Waymos operate for briefcases of money. Completely illegal. I know. And so, by the way, this is a great time to plug this, by the way. On September 11th will be the 500th Rideshare Rodeo episode. And my guest will be Mr. Sergio Avedian. If you've never seen Sergio and I, it's not like Sergio on the Rideshare Guy. It is always we'll get into taboo stuff. We'll talk real talk. Not that they don't over there, but they talk about what they're talking about that week. But we will cover a lot in here. So anyway, so 1 million plus 100,000 per person just turned into 300,000 plus 60,000 per person. And I mean, are you already not following this? So the trade-off is, but we're going to make your drivers pay union fees and they're not going to get anything out of it. And not to be a jerk, man, but what are we all thinking right now? Companies are going, all right, fine, we'll just charge the customers more. We don't care how you treat the drivers. Your state is stupid and it keeps making worse. Here's how I see it. We don't treat our drivers great at all. But damn, California, you make it 10 times worse on them. That's what I'd say. So, yeah, there's all kinds of articles out, you guys, and I did a piece on it too. But this unionization thing is really a big problem. And the reason that it's very like this has been going on forever. This has been battled since 2020 when AB 5 went into effect and then Prop 22 passed, and then it went right away. It's been in the courts forever. And so they're saying that, I wish I had Newsom's quote right. Well, I mean, I guess I said it on 13. It's so out of place. He's like, I'm glad that the state and labor came together. Like, no, they didn't. You divided and conquered, brother. And it's like as clean as it can be. You know what I mean? Like literally, that was as clean as it can be. You divided and conquered. So, I don't know. Again, guys, I'm not a fan of his. I'm an independent registered voter. I vote for whether you think it's right or wrong. I'll explain something here to you. I vote for what benefits. I mean, first of all, just right and wrong, in my opinion, but also I vote with my pocketbook and what will help me the most to keep the least amount of government into my money. That's how I vote. Because anybody can pull off a smile. I mean, if we were just voting on character and I hadn't heard anything about any of the people, I could potentially vote for Bernie Sanders. Then they'd be like, oh, dude, he's like, on the borderline of, he's a socialist, but he's pretty damn close to a communist. Like, oh shit, he seemed like a really nice guy. Like, I'm just pointing out that all politicians are not what they're made out to be, but at the same time, some are worth talking to and getting to know, and some of us need to do that. So I have been doing that, and I've found that a lot of them aren't letting me down with what I thought about them. It's kind of right. It's like, all right. Finally, okay, I'm going to move on to this last thing here. While I do, though, I'm going to get a quick drink of water, and I will be right back in 2 minutes.
Hey there, folks. Looking for those best deals in town? Come on down to Uber Emporium. We got deals and steals here. Officially forgotten miscellaneous stuff for us, direct from the passenger's back pocket to the seat of a random Uber to you. And we pass the savings on. We got deals and steals. Come on down. Everything's 50% off plus surge. You can pay through the app. Don't worry, you're probably getting charged for it anyways. We do get discounts for Uber Teen out there if you can show that. You have to be. We don't care about unaccompanied minors in this store. Let me tell you. Not that Uber does, anyways. But anyways, let's get to the products here tonight. Today we're featuring candy, boxed and individual. We got this brand new half eaten, half full box bag of Luden's cough drops right here. Wild cherry flavor, that's the best one. Tastes like candy. I like to rub it on my gums in the morning. Keeps my teeth sharp. Anyways, we'll send you the whole bag. Or if you just want a couple of pieces, we can do that. We can make that happen too. We got prescription medication over the counter and under the counter, and alongside the counter. What is this? This is just a box, but this is Tylenol PM, folks. So for those long Uber rides that you're gonna probably forget some more stuff and leave in someone else's Uber, yeah, don't worry. This could be yours. It could already been yours. Actually, if you forgot it in an Uber, you know, here's your chance to buy it back. But we got Tylenol and Tylenol PM. Let's see here. That's it for medical stuff. Oh, hey, just this forgotten in an Uber Black SUV, but it was only occupied by one person. And not naming any names, but that person happens to be in a lot of legal trouble in the news. If I mention the name, you might be thinking like, oh, okay, well, yeah, they like to party a little too hard. This is a male urinal. So for those really long trips, this comes in handy. Let's see here. Can we get a close up on that? Yeah, boxed, ready to go. Some cleaning required, but yeah, this is a good one. Bathroom safety. It's all about bathroom safety. You know, you don't want to get those cleaning fees for just, you know, whatever the price we're going to let this one go for. Again, everything's 50% off plus surge. Discounts, well, yeah, there's discounts all the time. On the other hand, there's also surge all the time, so it kind of balances out. Anyways, come on down to Uber Emporium. We got everything. Come on down. We'll make a deal. Just call us in the app.
Isn't it great that Uber sponsors this very podcast? If you aren't familiar, it will be in your app soon, Uber Emporium. You can buy all kinds of stolen and used stuff there. Also, I think they're integrating Connect into it so that you can deal drugs like you used to through Uber Connect. And you guys remember, don't take under $5 orders on Connect since you're dealing drugs for people. Period. Multiply it by a lot and know that you're putting yourself on the line. I'm just kidding that Uber sponsored that. All the rest I just meant, but thank you, Joe. Okay, finally, you guys, first of all, I'm so stoked at everything that's happened. I'm so stoked that we got so many different bills out in different states to the different lawmakers. I mean, that was like a blitz last week. We covered 5 states. We got Gary Middleton did Oklahoma, Torp did Kentucky, Bobby did Louisiana. Sounds like a weird man-on-man porn thing, but it's not. We'll get there in a second. Brian did Pennsylvania, and James did Detroit or Michigan. So you guys, we got 6. Was that 6? So Kentucky, Louisiana, Pennsylvania, Michigan. Oh, and Connecticut. We got 6 states done last week. And this week isn't going to be too much. I mean, we're going to do 3 this week because I'm working on a lot. And I also, for the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be working a lot. I got a lot of work to do, and I got a lot of other stuff to do too. I mean, I'll still be here, but I won't be doing as much of the digging. I did a lot of it, and I got a lot of things done, so everything's in place. So still email me if you're about your state. Cray Cray said that she would do Florida, and so Acacia said that she will do New Hampshire, and Kyle said that he would do North Carolina. So those are the next 3, and we keep rolling on from there. So, but what I really do want to end with here, and it's important, you guys. It's pinned at the top. Is it still there? To Twitter people, it's not in there. But to Twitter people, just go to my profile and scroll down, you'll see this change petition. Please sign it. Obviously, everybody on Twitter and YouTube, like, you're going to read it first. It's not very long. If you agree with that on any level, sign it. If you have friends that don't ever do gig work, send it to them. It's nothing wrong with signing this. In fact, this one is like, hey, I don't know. To me, it's so easy to read and understand and say, yes, of course, this makes sense. There's no hiccups in this at all. This is very straightforward. And I even did this little, I've got the whole page copied, but I did this little thing where I've got it printed out here. And so let me just tell you what you're signing before you go over there. Again, it's change.org. There is a way to donate to the cause, but when you donate, you're donating to the change.org platform. I just want to make this clear. I'm not saying it can't help or whatnot. I just want to make sure people know it does not come to me or us or anything as a group. It helps change.org push it out. But I'm of the opinion that we are a very grassroots community, and the best work that we do is just getting it out ourselves. Share it on social media. And they do have a lot of options. Like, leave a comment in there. You'll go through a couple screens, but just know at one point they'll say, did you want to donate? If you do read it, it says it's to the Change platform, because it is a very robust platform that's great for this. Pull data. That way, if any, like, we already know that there's some other people in some states, like the ones that I just named, like, there's two other people from Kentucky that already signed the change.org thing. So if Torp's representative gets in touch with him, it all of a sudden is, well, no, we got a couple other people too, but we'd like to have a lot more. But again, this is where I want to remind everybody, if you're like going, so what, what's two more? A lot, because a lot of times these Prop 22 type laws have been made on the backs of like one union shill and 4 fake drivers. And I'm not even kidding. Yeah, don't even make me go there, because that'll make me get into the Kim Cavan post that I was kind of laughing at, because there was a union shill called out who was pounding at the door of that same meeting. But let me just read through what you would be signing. That way, maybe this will be the selling point of what gets you over there. So it's first delivery. We'll do transportation, which is rideshare, in a couple months. I just don't want them confused. Delivery Network Company Driver Transparency and Protections Act. So 3 things that need to happen. And again, these aren't monetary. And remember, while I tell you this, the gig apps spend a ton. They spend more money on the programmers to deceive and gamify than they do on the programmers to just make sure the damn app runs right. The savings would be immaculate, even to the companies. The data farming would go way down, which, if you guys are familiar, or you can Google it yourselves, data has become like the new real estate. Good luck, getting any kind of data for any good fees. So, but full transparency is number one. Full. What does that mean? Drivers see delivery request info, total payout, including tips, distance, drop-off location, and estimated delivery time. Estimated. Again, we're going to get to the third one that doesn't really matter. Just giving you an idea of, with traffic, what you're looking at, in case you don't already know your market, like many of us do, though. How it helps drivers. Better decision-making based on actual earnings potential. Higher earnings by avoiding low-value or high-effort orders. Fewer cancellations due to upfront order clarity, and less stress from misleading or hidden information. Anybody want to challenge me on that one? Nope, didn't think so. B, fixing wrongful deactivations. What it means. Drivers can't be unfairly deactivated due to false customer claims, app errors, or algorithmic mistakes, which is now a term. We've learned that they're using it even. A fair appeals process must be in place. How it helps drivers. Job security, no sudden loss of income. So when I said job security, notice, for anybody trying to like pull word salads, I did not just say W-2 or anything like that. I'm saying job security, meaning that there are jobs out there. And I'm saying, so no sudden loss of income, still independent contractor. Fair treatment, protection from abuse and errors, confidence in platform, fosters loyalty and motivation, less fear, drivers aren't punished for minor mistakes or misunderstandings. C, and this be the big one, guys. This is the big one. Removal of driver metrics. What it means. And now I have to say this because this next part has to apply to the next 3 points I make. What it means if drivers are classified as independent contractors, which on every TOS, on every platform that we work on, every single one of them, we are classified as independent contractors. So based on if we are classified as independent contractors, this must happen. Remove performance stats ratings that pressure drivers. All the stats gone. Allow drivers to use any third-party tools to assist with work as long as they're legal. Okay? I mean, like, yes, if you can't use some kind of illegal programming or whatever, but that's without saying. But third-party apps should be allowed because even as John knows or whatever, even type, none of us like this ABC test, but the first thing in there is, are you free and clear of the hiring entity? That's you got to be a little bit. And 3, this is the big one, guys. This is the big one. This is the nail in the coffin. But again, it really wouldn't be. It would fix a lot of things. Eliminate tier systems that give drivers preferential treatment of any kind. So, boom, tier program's gone, acceptance rate gone, metrics gone, your fake how am I braking and how am I accelerating, your telematics that work off the fitness app on a phone. I actually know people in the telematics game. They spend a ton of money on real telematics. You cannot use an iPhone or an Android's fitness app. Idiots. Anyway, boom, gone. Metrics gone. Stats gone. Performance rating. Tier system gone. And that you'd be allowed to use third-party legal apps to get your work done properly. I think that with that, I'll even point out just one that I know of that we all, most of us probably do. I know I talk to a lot of people who are like, I don't use any app system. But like, for example, I know Lyft changed this recently. Most apps let you use any, in their TOS, it says you cannot use any mapping software other than ours. You have to use our in-app mapping software, period. Nothing outside of it. First of all, they can't do that, blah, blah, blah. But this is a perfect example of how much even the companies don't understand what the hell they're doing. Because in those same apps is the ability to choose, oh, I'd rather use Waze or Google Maps or Apple Maps. But in their TOS, their terms of service, it says you can't use maps outside of ours. But your app has a setting that literally lets me redirect it to the one I'd rather use. If I'm starting to wonder if they just knew, if maybe the data will show some things from places like Colorado instead of some of the states with the money attached. Hopefully, maybe at the end of the year, and maybe that starts to help them see too that really, damn, transparency could be cheaper for us. It might make us more money. And the combined impact, this is the last thing I have to say on this. The combined impact of doing these 3 things is 1, drivers earn more money more consistently. Fact. Once you're full transparency, you can allocate your time better as opposed to like running one just to keep your AR up or whatever things that you don't need to be doing. 2, greater control over schedule and workload. Fact. I mean, if I had complete transparency like I do on some apps, I could piecemeal a day together the day before. 3, higher retention. Drivers stay longer. Fact. I mean, the drivers that are, it's the same comparison I do to the service industry. Like when I ran bars and restaurants, some people just aren't cut out for bars and restaurants. Some people aren't cut out for gig work, but the ones who are, you're going to get higher retention and drivers staying more that would have maybe stayed longer had the system been not so flawed. Improved trust between drivers and platforms. Now, with new drivers, they wouldn't know, but with us veteran, I know it might take a minute because, and here's the only reason. I think that's completely correct, and that's the statement I'm sticking with. But I know we're all going to be skeptical, right? But once we see it, well, all the metrics are gone, and where's the AR? Oh, there's no AR anymore. Like once you have that, yeah, at first you're going to wonder what's the backlash going to be here. But once you just keep seeing it, and there's nothing, again, like I've said before, this isn't about money. This doesn't mean that the orders become more money. It just means that you have no thing in your head going, no, I need to take, I got to take one. I haven't taken one, and I got to take one. No, it just makes it so that your experience is flawless. Whether you like the offers or not, that's up to you. And the market will dictate. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. If they have people that will take the orders, those orders will get taken. But be transparent about it, and don't hold it against those of us who would rather just wait for the better orders. Fact. And number 5, less burnout, more sustainable workforce. I've said this for a while. I think a lot of us are out there too long, too many hours, when really, if you start kind of mapping it a little bit, you might notice where you could trim some hours and get out of your car and go home for a bit, or even like put in an actual lunch instead of going, I'll just multi-app through lunch. Like figure it out, get out of your car. And I was like saying this the other day, like get out of your car and walk for 15 minutes. And and as a double down on that challenge, see if you can leave your phone in your car for those 15 minutes so that you're completely device free. That's my challenge. But that's it, you guys. Please sign that change.org. It was, I don't know where it was, mid 70s or something when I started this. So I would hope a few people did. I see that, between Twitter and YouTube, there's a good amount of people in here for Monday on a holiday. And with that, you guys, that's this week's episode. And thank you for joining. And I will see you later this week. All right. Peace, y'all.